Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome everyone to Shaz REACTS. Today I will be reacting to a video called Jinns, Black Magic Made Me Look into Islam, My Journey to Islam. I found this video while searching for a video about a magician's story about how he repented and came back to Islam. By the title, I think this brother was a magician before. He will be telling his story about how he came to Islam through magic and everything. I think that's what it's about. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, and click on the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Without further ado, let's start the reaction.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Sam. I've been Muslim for about 2.5 years, and this is my story.
So can you tell us a little bit about where you came from? Tell us a little bit about your background, tell us a little bit about your family, etc.
I'm from St Albans in Hertfordshire, which is just north of London. I'm from a nice middle-class background. Got a very loving family, loving mother, loving father, brother and a sister. Very standard middle-class family. I was always the one that kind of out of the family clashed and caused a lot of issues. My brother and sister are very academic, university students, where I was always the one who was getting in trouble from primary school all the way through. I was always the one getting in trouble from teachers, getting in trouble from everything. So I always felt very, very different from my family, even though I had a, alhamdulillah, fantastic upbringing.
So you felt like you were kind of...
I always felt outcast massively. I always felt that I was very different from my family. But alhamdulillah, fantastic parents, can't criticise that, but I always felt very different. I felt like I was treated slightly different. I think it was more just my general attitude and behaviour towards my family was terrible. From a young age, I was always very, very rude to my mother and my father.
So what do you think
can
made
relate
that
to
come arise, like why you were so different to your other brothers and sisters?
I don't know,
Maybe
I just felt like I had a lot of anger in me from a young age. I could never really pinpoint where it came from, but I just remember at primary school having a huge amount of anger, and I could never really understood where it came from. I don't know, it wasn't jealousy for my brother and sister, I felt very different. I think for myself, I struggled with being in education and being in that environment. So I think rather than wanting to learn and study when I was at school, I was constantly just messing around, trying to be the class clown, just having a laugh the whole time, not really taking it too seriously, which obviously at that age affects you massively. Your teachers don't want you in the class. And it gets to a point when your students around you don't really want to associate with you so much because they want to sort of study. So I just felt like I was a general sort of outcast.
You know, like when you left primary school, what kind of person were you then when you started going to secondary school?
When I was in year 6, so the last final year of primary school, that's when I really noticed myself being a lot more aggressive, a lot more rude, and a lot more disrespectful to the elders around me. I remember an incident I had. I attacked a boy, and when I went to get in trouble, I ended up just putting my finger up at the teacher at the time. And I remember just having this rage in me. I could never really pinpoint, but it felt strange. And then I moved to secondary school, and it was just went from not great to really not great at all. Got in trouble from day one, really. Messing around, being obnoxious, fighting.
I was a lot of in trouble.
But you know, like when
I
you
was in
were
high school.
did you have like any role models? Was there anyone in particular that you used to look up to at this time?
I used to look up to people like Eminem. I used to really like Eminem, D12 and all of these sort of rappers at the time. Remember I used to dye my hair blonde and wear a blue bandana and that's what I used to look up to. No real role models other than that, just being a bit naughty. I used to enjoy being a bit naughty, do you know what I mean? Not really obeying to the rules and smoking from a young age, just doing all the rebellion from a young age.
But you know, like some people, like when they get into secondary school, they might say, you know what, I'm getting to a stage in my life,
smoke weed?
I want to do this when I get older or what have you.
Not sure.
Nah,
I feel like that.
Just lost, just not really thinking about the future at all, just taking every day as it came and just being a bit lost is the word. Not really, no ambition.
No, I think you were not just a bit lost, you were totally lost.
So tell us a little bit about your life after you left secondary school.
So when I finally got out of school, for each school year for me seems to got worse and worse. I ended up leaving and moving to another school, which things got even worse then. And then I was actually asked to leave before the end of year 11. I was asked to leave. And as soon as I left, I went on a bit of a rampage and I was doing all sorts of silly stuff, lots of drinking all day and just being a general sort of tearaway and being a bit ruthless really. And then when I was the age of 16, I got offered a job. My mum helped me get a job in a hair salon where I got an environment of working for myself, working around quite good peers. They were very, very focused and they were just adults. So
you know, before your mum got you this job, were you ever into like?
I was always had an interest in hair. I remember watching a program on TV which was about these guys. They were hairdressers, and I thought they were cool. I thought what they were doing was good. They were very creative. They seemed to have all the girls around them. They were in London doing this stuff, and I was quite inspired by that, to be honest. So that's what I was quite inspired by. These guys were just, they looked like sort of like rock stars. They were just doing a lot of interesting, fun stuff. So I was quite inspired by that. So when I got into hairdressing, I wanted to do it. I remember thinking at the time I had no other option. I had no qualifications, I had nothing else. And it was something I wanted to do, but didn't really want to be in the hair salon environment. I wanted to be more like men's hairdressing, barbering, but I had this job, so I went for it. And to be honest, that's when I started feeling a bit of a better feeling in myself, because I was actually treated like an adult. I was getting paid. I had good people around me. So that's when I actually wholeheartedly said I'm actually starting to enjoy life now. I feel like a bit more of an adult.
But you see, at this stage in your life, what was the relationship like with like your other family members?
A bit distant, not too bad. A bit distant. I was okay. I was a young 16, 17-year-old going out every weekend, going out every night of the week, just doing silly stuff. But nothing too bad, nothing major, just going out a little bit.
So tell us a little bit more when you started getting into the hair salon stuff.
And then, so I did work there for about a year. Then I took about 2 months off, which was a bad idea. I took 2 months off. And
why did you take 2 months off?
I took 2 months because I left that job, and then I didn't get into another job. And I spent that time mostly at a friend's house who just abusing drugs, basically, and thinking that this was the thing that I wanted to be involved in.
So he did drugs.
Really experimenting with drugs for the first time.
What do you mean,
suspecting, because he said I used to smoke, right?
Taking drugs?
Yeah, no. Well, not really selling so much, just taking and experimenting with a lot of drugs. Yeah. So
you were scared doing stuff like that?
At first, I think even when I was young, I was always quite interested in drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, smoking weed. I was always quite interested in it. I always thought, not necessarily it was cool, but it was something that interested me. So when I got the opportunity to do more than just that, it was, I don't know, I was actually showed a lot of interest in it, which is sad looking back, but it was something as when I started doing more drugs, to be honest, I kind of thought I found a home within that. I thought, this is nice, this makes me feel nice. So,
Subhanallah, a lot of youngsters now, they do this, they, like Arabs, some young Arabs, they smoke shisha with their friends and they think that's so cool. Like, why do you smoke shisha? Like, what does it give you smoking that? Like, I don't understand what's good in shisha. I mean, you just smoke and then you let it out. Like, do you think you're a mafia or a gangster or something? I don't know. Like, what do you really accomplish with that? Those are very, very bad. Like, what is this, And smoking weed, smoking cigarette, like, this is damaging your health. And you are wasting your money on that. Like, you are losing on all sides. And when you drink alcohol, same thing. Like, I don't understand those things,
So I spent these few months just really battering myself off, really. And then feeling in myself that I'm not in a good place. And that's my first sort of signs of feeling a little bit depressed, a little bit more lost, a bit more kind of, I need something to focus on again.
Did anyone notice it, like any of your friends?
No, the people around me at the time were on the same mission. These times I didn't really have much money either, so it was like, considering I was from a nice background, I didn't really go home much. I was kind of like almost in like a squatting environment when I was just battering drugs and just doing nothing really. it got tiring, and then one opportunity, my mate went and got a haircut in a salon, and I popped in with him, and ended up asking for a seat. I ended up asking if they had a job. And they said, yeah, drop your CV in. So I put my CV into this shop, and I got the job. I started getting things on track a little bit again, and worked there for about 5 years. And to be honest, career-wise, it was very beneficial. Got me together. I started being a bit more of a man. But along that time as well, I was doing a lot of silly stuff. And
well, were you still hanging around with that same person that you?
Yeah, and worse, and just kind of still working. I was still working 9 to 5 and being responsible. But as soon as I would disappear for the weekend and go out on the Friday night, come back on the Monday morning, sort of thing, and just partying a lot. And again, just partying was the thing that I worked for, really. Yeah.
So you were saying you were working there.
Youngsters don't party. And even if you do it, don't do any celebrations, anything that the kafir do. If you want to gather with your brothers in Islam, I mean, you can, no problem. You can gather with your brothers in Islam, eat, talk, have fun, do halal things, halal activities. No party, no alcohol, no opposite gender, no, none of that. Those are evil. It will lead you to evil. You will have evil consequences that will follow them, especially adultery. It's don't approach those. Don't approach those. Okay? If you don't approach party, you will save you. That will help you to save yourself from adultery and other haram stuff, other sinful acts.
Yeah, so long for 5 years. Then what?
Then I left, started working for myself, which I loved. I started running my own business for myself. I started cutting hair, had my own little thing set up, still partying loads, and progressively got more into more of the party stuff, little bit less work, more partying, was in and around drugs 24/7.
So it's kind of like you're going a little bit back.
A little bit back. I thought in career-wise, moving forward, I'm putting some money aside, then I'm building and I'm working for myself. But like socially, just mixed up with the wrong things, really. Just in and around a lot of drug dealers, and taking drugs all the time. Always chasing the high, waking up early in the morning, smoking weed throughout to the evening, and just constantly chasing high, basically.
Well, wasn't this taking a toll on your life?
It was
just kind of the way things were. Just constantly being high was just the way I generally was. Even when I'm working, I made sure I was high. It got tiring, got expensive, but for me, it's the thing that I thought gave me kind of that peace. So I thought if I bun a joint, I'm nice. But realistically, you're not nice.
Drugs,
you're nice for about an hour till it fades off.
Because he was dependent on
another joint.
Like
and then
drugs.
before you know it, you're chasing the high, and before you know it, you're a drug addict. But it's an illusion. So, but throughout all this kind of stuff, I did get tired of it, but I had started having some quite surreal experiences with things, like things of the unseen. I didn't really have much belief in ghosts or anything like that, but I started having these very, very real things.
I don't know if this brother
sometimes
still those
in front of me, sometimes in a deep state of a dream. Sometimes if I'm kind of meditated, I'm kind of leaving my body and going to other places. At the time, it wasn't really anything spiritual for me. It was just something a bit weird. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. But then I had a couple of experiences where I literally had the most intense out-of-body experience where I felt like me and myself left the body that I see in the mirror and went somewhere else. And where I went was just as real as what I see day to day around me. But there was things in this place that weren't humans, but they were just as real as humans, and they were interacting with me, talking to me. I was having full-on conversation with these things. And wow, when I came out of this one particular time, these three things came over to me, started talking to me, being a bit, it was creepy, but I kind of embraced it at the time. When I came out of this state, came back to this world, and I sat there and reflected, and I thought, wow, I just started kind of understanding spirituality and understanding that possibly there's a bit more going on in life than I thought, because at the time I was I played the ignorant card happily. Ignorance is bliss, and like was full of, I didn't look into anything like that. I'm thinking, do you know what, there's something else. It was a supernatural experience, yeah? So I thought, okay, cool. So I started doing more and more of this because I was very interested in what actually was going on, and then I started studying the people who do this and all the kind of different views of what this thing is. People call it different things: astral projection, out-of-body experiences.
So you started proper looking into
it, and then doing it myself, and then looking into
I think he's getting into magic stuff
and doing it. And I would leave my body, and I would go to these things, go to these places, and have interaction with these things. And I had a friend of mine at the time, and I explained it to him. And he said, "Oh, that thing that you're meeting is something called Jinn." I said, "What's that? A drink?" He said, "Nah. Jinn." I said, "I'd never heard of it, mate." Kind of put it to one side, and then he kind of he started showing me a couple of things on YouTube about what Jinn is and about what this kind of like, you know what I mean, like Ouija boards and that kind of showed me some supernatural things, yeah, and it started making sense. And then I had a couple of mates who kind of claimed they said they were Muslim, necessarily weren't really ordained, but like were Muslim, had knowledge about the unseen, knew about things about the unseen and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, cool, and I started my studying. I thought, okay, I know there's something out there. I didn't think it was God. I didn't think it was Allah. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was something spiritual and something supernatural I didn't understand. So I went on a big quest. I kind of locked off a lot of people and just started studying all sorts of stuff. Started with like science and just understanding other dimensions. Is this where I'm going? Is this somewhere in my mind, or is there something else? Have I got a soul? Have I got a spirit? So I started studying all this kind of loads of different areas of things. And the thing that kind of really got my attention was Satanism, Freemasonry, and certain people in the music industry and in the Hollywood, what they do, what presidents do, what basically the people who have a lot of money, and the people who run this world, higher power, what did they do? And there was clear-cut evidence. I could see what Masonry was. I started to learn about what Masonry was. I started to learn about what Jinn was and how all these things interact.
So you were proper getting deep into this.
Deep into it and loving it. And I loved every minute of it. And then there was a friend of a friend who, nasty guy. He started doing this black magic stuff, and I would hear stories from my close friends that this guy is doing these rituals. He's putting chickens down these black holes, and the chickens coming back with no head, and doing some strange stuff. I didn't understand it at the time, didn't know what it was. But this guy basically started having a relationship with a spiritual being, a jinn. So all around my time of studying, this thing was happening as well. So it was not only was I looking...
It's close to you?
Yeah, it was close to me, yeah. Like, I knew the guy. Wasn't associated, so he was someone I wanted to avoid, but it could have, as I was studying it, like I'm looking on the internet, and it was actually happening in real life at the same time. So it was all for me. It was all my way of being guided through, and it was kind of like clear-cut evidence here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, just studying.
I expected him to tell his story when he was a sahir, and then I thought he was a sahir like in his life, and then he quit, he repented, but it's different from what I expected, but still very good story, full of lessons. We should ask ourselves, the Muslims, if we are truly following that purpose of life, if we are truly embracing that purpose of life, right? So because sometimes we can get off track. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, and click on the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Tell me in the comment section below what video would you like me to react to. Send me the links. I will get to those videos, inshallah. See you next time. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.